Thank you for joining us again for another episode in the Heart NSTA Trust's lecture series, The Heartbeat. I'm your host, Kevin Baxter. In this session, we turn the spotlight on hair braiding with instructor Peter Gay Forrester. This session will help learners to 1. Have an appreciation of the history of hair braiding, 2. Acknowledge the importance of carrying out effective consultation and analysis, 3. Understand proper sanitization and selection of tools and equipment for hair braiding services. 4. Attach extensions following appropriate techniques. 5. Identify hairstyle concepts to complement clients' facial features. We want to hear from you, so log on to our social media pages and give us your feedback. You may also reach out to us on WhatsApp at 876-279-7930. Here's Miss Peter Gay Forrester.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you for joining us today. Now, hair braiding goes way back in history, and today I'll be showing you how to do 3 different techniques in hair braiding, which includes cornrow, rope twist, and plait. After you've learned these techniques, you are on your way to perform almost any style of your choice. But before we go into that, there are some simple ground rules that you as a hairstylist must perform. One such rule is consultation. Now, what is a consultation? Consultation is really having a one-on-one discussion, getting to know your client, and also meeting the client's requirement. Now, today, after you've done that, you move straight into your analyzing of the hair and the scalp. Why would you want to do that? It is important as you want to know that the hair is in the right state and also that the scalp is in a right condition to take on the braiding service. What is it exactly that you're looking for? You're looking if the hair is dry and brittle. You're also looking for the scalp if there is any abrasion on the scalp, any form of fungus such as ringworm on the scalp. If the client is suffering from traction alopecia, which is constant pulling on the scalp. Also, if the client may just have a baby and the client is going through postpartum depression and the client is losing their hair. Now, these are some of the things that you have to take into control before you move into your braiding service. Once you have done that, analyzing the hair and the scalp, then you want to make sure that you have the right tools and implement to carry out the service. Some of those tools will require you to shampoo the client's hair. Yes, you must shampoo the client's hair before a braiding service. Why? In order to remove any dirt or grease or debris that is on the scalp, so it is clean and nice to accommodate the braid. Once you have done that, then you select the combs and the tools in terms of your shampoo combs, your styling combs, and also the braids that you're going to use. After you have done that, then you move into the service. Now, I am going to start off with doing a simple cornrow technique. Now that you have mastered how to consult and how to analyze the hair and the scalp. Now let's go into it, and I hope you're ready to do all of these services. Now the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get my braid. A nice pack of blonde braid, which I'm going to use, so you will be able to see what I'm actually doing. So I'm removing my braids from the pack. And of course, depending on the size and the length that you and the client come in agreement with, that is how you're going to cut the braid. Now, if the client said normally they use like the shoulder length, back length, or buttocks length, then it determines on you and the client where you want the hair braiding to stop. Now here I have a pack of braid and I'm going to cut it in 2. Right? Because I want to have a little length when I bend the other portion in half, all right? So here I have my scissors, my half-inch scissors, and I'm going to cut right in the center of my braids. Now, if you notice, this is an unpre-stretched braid. It is not stretched, it does not have any ends, and therefore I have to go in and all of these blunt ends that are here, I am going to now pre-stretch it. Stretch, stretch. So at the end of my braiding technique, I will be able to have some ends to hold the hair in place so it does not ravel. So yes, these are some of the techniques that the hairstylists have to do in order to have an effective braiding service. All right, let us get enough ends here. Here we go, almost there. Ta-da, here we go with our ends. And now I'm going to hold firm at the top and rake at the bottom to smooth out any knots that we have along this stretch. Now guess what? After I've done that, I am going to sanitize my braids. What? Yes, I am going to sanitize my braid. Reason being to prevent any bacteria that is on the hair, such as fungus or dust or dirt that is there. I am going to sanitize all of this. Now, braids can be a little bit coarse. Now, once you put the alcohol on it, on the hair itself, it will evaporate. So don't worry, the hair won't remain wet, all right? Once you'd have done that, then we move into proportion the braid to, let's get this out of the way a little. Put that right there. So we're going to proportion the braid for the cornrow. Now I'm going to start off showing you how to do an invisible cornrow, all right? So get those babies ready, your daughters and your niece, as you're ready to perform the task. And proportion is important. It is very important in hair braiding. You don't want to have some part of the hair looking thin and some part looking very thick. So you want to have a balance throughout your hair braiding. So if you notice when I'm proportioning the hair, there are different sizes that will take me along the strands of the braid. So this will give me at least 1 or 2 cornrows. All right, let me just stop right here. What I am not using, I'm going to create a knot to secure my hair to prevent it from falling all over the place. So control is also very important. All right, there we go. All my braids are ready and prepared for the service. Now I'm going to use my tail comb to give me clean partings along the mannequin heads. So I'm just combing through, detangling, and I'm going to do small partings from the side down to the nape area. Remember, again, guys, you must communicate with the client. If the size is right, you do a simple one before, a simple braiding technique before, you move into the full head braiding. Don't wait until you complete the braid, then you're going to ask the client if that's okay, right? You and the client must have an agreement so you don't have to be pulling out the entire head and the client is dissatisfied and you have to start all over again. And of course, with hair braiding, it takes time. All right, so here I have a small strand, which I'm going to use to start off my braiding. All right, so I'm going to separate this hair in two sections, right? And 1, 2, lap over 2 times, and then this will be my 3 strand. Let's get this extra strand out. These 3 strands to start the braiding process. And as I go along, I am going to add pieces in. So look carefully at the technique. Here we go. So first, I take up a small portion. And I'm just doing like 3 or 4 cornrow along chains before I start adding it. All right. Look at that already. All right. So now I'm going to start adding. So you use your ring finger and your pinky finger to help you control the braid. So here we go. 1, we release the one from the pinky. 2, and bring around, while the other strand rests on top. We go again between the pinky and the ring finger, go around, 1, 2, receive. Let's do that again. And it depends on how fat you want your braids, and you start adding the thicker portion. Of course, I want to start building the body of my braids, so I'm going to go 1, 2, and add. Now, as you notice, you're not seeing where I'm adding the extension, which is very important. And a little tension is good too, not too much that the client can't sleep at night. Too often we have clients going to bed, can't sleep because of these tight braids. And remember, I told you before that constant pulling at the scalp can create traction alopecia. And if you notice, you have a lot of females these days sporting hairlines that are not so wonderful. So you want to maintain the integrity of the client's hairline. So as you go along, ask questions. How are you feeling? Someone will ask, how long does a braiding really take? Now, braiding can take up to 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours, depending on the time that you start of the day, the time you start the braiding, as well as how fine or how thick you're going to do that braiding extension. All right, and of course it's going to require you doing some bending a little bit, especially when you reach to the nape area. If you cannot bend, just ask the client to tilt the head forward a bit. There you go. And that's how you would achieve your braiding. which is cornrow. You're going to now change the position of your hands. Now, a lot of times also, when persons are braiding, the ends of the client hair plays a very important role. You don't want to be having too much of the client's hair end popping out, and then you go ahead and trim away at the client's hair. You want to ensure that you seal the client's hair within the braid. And even if there's a little that exposed, it's not supposed to be too much, which is going to cause the client to become traumatized. And there we go, finishing up with the plait. And if you notice how my ends are nice to secure the end, so there will be no unraveling of my braids. It will keep in place. There we go. Look at that. And this is how you demonstrate, you would achieve your braiding for the cornrow. Now we're going to move in to our plaiting techniques, and I hope you have mastered the hair braid, the cornrow techniques. So here we have the cornrow. Now on the right side of the head, I'm going to demonstrate the plaiting technique, which is going to incorporate 3 strands just as the cornrow. And once you can plait, you can braid. Or let me do it at the front, the extreme front, so you can see. All right. Remember again, if there's too much hair, you use your section clips or a rubber band to control the hair. All right, so if you notice the width of my parting right here, it means that I have to get the same proportion of braid to meet the proportion of the parting that I have here. Now, a lot of times when we are plaiting, we always have the starting of the braid about to here, very thick, and then when we go down here, it is fine and thin. We don't want that. We want everything to come out to one length and looking natural as possible. The only area that must be tapered is coming down to the tail of the plait. How do you know if you select the right proportion of braids? You can by feeling, right? So the weight of the hair to the weight of the braid is very important. All right, so this can take a little piece more. Right. And then you're going to stretch again depending on how long you want the braid. Now when you see me running my fingers through the braid, I'm trying to keep it from knotting, which is very important. So here am I going to separate the same thing and do my crossover one time. Right? Here we go. So with the 3 plait braids, you have knotless and you also have the under braid, which will give you a bump on the top. Today, I'm going to go under, which will give you the knotless technique, all right? So here we go. So with this, I'm going to separate the hair in 3 proportions. 1, 2, and 3. And the braid in the center will be position in the middle. So the center piece will be falling over the middle proportion of the braids, and then the two sides will go right and left. Now, in manipulating the plaiting technique, there is certain things that you have to understand about the fingers in terms of the pinky, the ring fingers, the middle finger, and the index finger and the thumb. Once you manipulate where the hair should be, then you're good to go. And here we go. I'm going to demonstrate that for you. So holding of the hair, if you notice, the hair is between my ring finger and my middle finger. And then my thumb, which is not occupied, is going to be my receiving finger to hold the middle proportion of the hair on top. And then my right hand will now receive and it is going to be positioned the same way, and then I'm crossing over. So basically, you're doing the same Conrow technique. Some person call it Cornrow. It's the same Conrow technique. Yeah, growing up in the days, your grandmother used to say Conrow or Cornrow. And there you go. Once you've done that, you change the position of your hand, and the plaiting technique still remain. As you cross over, you put back the hair between the ring finger and the middle finger. Your receiving fingers, which is your thumb and your index finger, will receive as you go along. Now, if you notice, because I select the right proportion of braid, as I go down, the thickness still remains. All right, straighten your head a little, Sandy. Thank you. All right. And trust me, when a client is comfortable, you will know. The client will either fall asleep while you're doing their braid. If they're uncomfortable, you will also know, because you will see the client twitching as you go along. Which means that there is a lot of discomfort taking place. Now Sandy seems like she's sleeping because her head keep coming this way. All right, keep that way. And here we go. Now, to tell you the truth, ladies, braiding doesn't happen overnight. It comes with practice. So taking it up one day and think that you're going to get it, no, it comes with practice. So once you've mastered the technique and you keep doing it over and over, then it will become a part of you. And these are only the 3 techniques that you need to learn in order to master any other styles. All right, and this is my plaiting techniques. There we go. Now, the final one that we'll be doing is the rope twist. Now, a lot of persons have challenges in roping from the root. I get that a lot. Now, today I will be demonstrating to you how you can achieve your rope twist from the root. And this is only using 2-strand technique. Proportion is still important to the amount of hair that you're going to add. And this again, you need to come into agreement with how thick or how thin the client wants the hair braiding. In terms of fine or medium or large braids, you need to come to agreement with the client. And sometimes hairstylists cheat the system. So if the client said they want us very small braids or fine braids, they will start off fine in the back, in the nape area, going up into the occipital or crown area, and do the front really small. And then you will have clients coming back complaining. You don't want that. All right, so you want to be true to the client and the costing that you're going to charge again. So I'm going to still remain in the front area, so you will see. All right, let's turn Sandy around a little bit. And because we're doing rope twists, and this is a proportion of the braid that the hair that I'm going to use, I'm now going to section that in two. The braids will fall right in the center of the hair. Now, there's a technique when you're applying the braid. You're going to the left. For me, in some persons, when they're doing it, they use the wrist. It's not a wrist movement, it's more of a finger movement, rolling the hair. All right? So let's try that. So I'm going to place the braid right in the center and hug the client's hair with the braid at the same time. And then I'm going to secure the braid like this, using my pinky, ring, and middle finger. Once you've secured the hair, then you want to use your receiving finger, which is your thumb, and your index finger to roll the hair to the left. Now, when you roll the hair to the left, you want to ensure that at the root, there's a little coil. So if I should bend my hand, there's a little stiffness. The root is stiff, right? But not so stiff where the client is going to feel excruciating pain. No. You want to make sure that it is comfortable as much as possible. All right? Then I'm going to use my middle finger on my left hand to help support me in turning the hair to the left as well. Once that is achieved and there is firmness, then you use your middle finger to receive the hair on the right and cross over. So once you're crossing over, and you keep rolling as you go along. And with this, you want to ensure that your client is comfortable. And if you notice, I'm not twisting my wrist. I am twisting or rolling the hair rather. The aim is you don't want to twist your wrist because over a period of time, you will develop carpal tunnel syndrome. So you want to have the wrist as calm as possible. And you rope until you reach the ends. There we go. And that's the roping technique from the root. Now, what if you run out of braids in terms of you have small portions of braid alongside the hair strand? Let me just unravel this a little and just show you how you can add braid to give body. Because if you notice, up here is a little bit thicker than down here. I'm going to add extension to eliminate the thinness. All right, so I will stop right there, and then I am going to go in. All right. Again, proportion is important, so you want to make sure that you select the right amount of hair. And you add it in between the two strands, and then you're going to roll. continue rolling, rolling. And see, you don't even know where I start the hair from. And then the hair will become have a little bit more length. So this is how you can gain more length to what you want. And here we go. So this is how we would have completed the 3 techniques of our cornrow, or plait, and our rope twist. Now, I just want to say I hope you guys get the techniques, and I hope you will practice in this COVID time. At least you get the opportunity to use this opportunity to comb your daughter's or your niece's hair at home. All right? So here we have on set different braiding styles. Here we have a wig. This is plait rather. And then over here we have our 2 cornrow techniques, which is accentuated with a little emblem right there. And over here we have a updo style, which was rope twist. The hair was rope twist and designed. So this client can go out on an evening wear or wherever she wants to go for a graduation or so forth. So she's nicely wrapped. And here we have also another cornrow, which is much smaller, which this client, she can wrap it. You can design it, the hair, however you want to design it. And these are some of the techniques that we do in braiding, simple techniques. Now, I hope you guys learned something today. Looking forward to hear from you. Have a wonderful day.
That's it for a session on hair braiding. There's so much more you can learn in your own time, but I'm sure you now have a solid foundation. I can't wait to see some of the styles our learners will do after watching this presentation. Why don't you send us some of those styles on WhatsApp? Until next time, I'm your host, Kevin Baxter.